Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It has been a little bit since I've made a video, and obviously I like to make videos when they're important, right? We don't just want to talk about nothing, we want to talk about important things. Now, a while back, many of you know that I made, back in May, maybe even early June, I made multiple videos talking about you need to start paying attention to ETH, right? And there was reasons for that were because we were spotting monthly time frame historical setups on the ETH dominance chart, the ETH versus Bitcoin chart, and the ETH USD chart. Okay, now obviously all of that has come to pass. ETH has hit a new all-time high. It's currently still very close to its all-time high, and the bottom is in on ETH versus Bitcoin, ETH dominance, and obviously the ETH USD chart from its major correctional period that it went through. Something similar we're starting to spot again. However, it's not on ETH, it's on the altcoin market cap versus Bitcoin. Okay, so similar to those videos I made then, we are seeing weekly time frame, monthly time frame historical setups that we have seen before on one chart and never seen before on another chart. One chart is going to be the logarithmic scale, and one will be on linear. As you can see, you're looking at the linear time frame right now, and this is total 3 versus Bitcoin, excluding stablecoins. Okay? Now, let's jump right into it. As you know, if you were around in those days, altcoins total 3, right, which does not include ETH, but includes the top 10 altcoins and then altcoins beyond that, experienced a very large bear market, right, back in 2018, 2019, before finding a low. Now, when it found its low, it started to form an accumulation range / Wyckoff accumulation range, or something kind of similar, right? Maybe it's not perfect to a Wyckoff schematic, but it's very similar in terms of just bottoming out and finding an accumulation range. Now, during this accumulation range, you could see that we found the initial low, then we came up, got a bounce, found the second low, made a higher high, then got the move down to pierce below the major support zone, and then once everyone capitulated, you get your Wyckoff spring phase, which led to the 2021 alt season. So this right here is the 2021 alt season. This is your Wyckoff accumulation pattern, your 2 taps to the low, your third hit below, your spring phase, boom, alt season happens. Right when everyone gave up, right here. Okay? Let me ask you a question. How many people do you think capitulated altcoins after these nice 2 lows, this higher low, higher high structure, and then kaboom, all of that gets destroyed, everyone capitulates, alt season begins. Now, obviously, monetary policy was much different then than it is now, but if we are going to be on schedule going into Q4 and Q1 with easing coming into the market, right, and if we get good macro data to support the easing, then I would suspect that this would all get priced in similar to 2021. Okay, so let's jump over to the current present time. As you can see, we went through another bear market on altcoins. You get your low, okay? Get your first tap to the low. Then we come down, you get your second tap to the low. Then we make a higher high, and then guess what? We flushed all the way down again, ruined this structure, supposedly, but let alone, nope, we did not ruin the structure. It was the same thing we saw in 2021, where you get your Wyckoff spring phase outside of this low, back into the range, your Wyckoff accumulation range, if you want to call it, or just an accumulation range in general. And now you have reclaimed the range, and we're looking to potentially start heading back higher on the back of good macro data and easing that will be getting priced into the market at a higher rate if the data comes in good. So let me preface this by saying, guys, girls, in order for this to play out, we are going to need to see more ingredients enter into the charts. And what do I mean by that? I mean fundamentals. The charts can say one thing, and sometimes they can precede the news. That is very true. However, in this instance, we are going to need to see lower inflation or flat inflation, a softening labor market, but not a crashing labor market, and softening growth, but not crashing growth. What that will enable is the Fed to be biased towards the other side of the dual mandate, that being the employment market, right? Maximum employment, steady prices, stable prices. Okay? If we can start creating a new bias, right, where the Fed starts to say, hey, the balance of risk is now on the labor market, that will drop the 2-year yield, it will increase rate cut projections, and it may even get the Fed to finally cut the last little bit of quantitative tightening that they're currently initiating, and maybe even have a neutral to expanding balance sheet. If that can happen, if we can get those ingredients, which I think is possible here, then this chart could be preceding the news, right? Q4, maybe even late Q3 here coming soon. The similarities of this chart are honestly incredible, and I want to even show you some indicators to kind of match it up. So, first and foremost, back when this occurred, the spring phase, you had a weekly buy signal on your market cipher. You're seeing the same thing that happened here, literally at the same time, okay? Same buy signal on weekly market cipher, similar type of money flow, still waiting for this momentum wave to head higher and seeing if that money flow can also start waving up higher. Very similar indicator. Whale money flow bottomed out at the exact same level as it did in 2021. MACD also crossed to the upside at the exact same level it did in 2021. Stock RSI performed similar behavior. You get your move down, you get your high, you come back down, and then you bounce higher. We came down, you come up and make a high, get rejected at the 20 level, come back down, make your final low, head higher. Once we broke the 80 level and stayed above it on the stock RSI was when you got your most aggressive price action. We are not at the 100 level yet. We are currently sitting at the 96 level. So if we can get to that 100 level, that's usually when the most bullish price action occurs. When we got to the 100 level, we were right here, right? Similar to how we are right here. Same exact thing. You see what I'm saying? You see where we're going with this? Look, we were right here when the stock RSI hit the 100 level. We are currently right here when it's at the 96 level, so maybe a little more room to grow before we hit the 100 level, and theoretically you should see your strongest price action. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 extremely powerful indicators that all show all of the confluence in relation to this price structure on the linear time frame, on the weekly. Okay? Now, etch that into your mind, take a picture of it, whatever you need to do. Let's move on to the next chart. Okay, this is the monthly time frame on, again, total 3 versus Bitcoin minus stablecoins. This is on the log chart, okay? First and foremost, I want to start off by saying that, yes, we did hit a major bottoming point, which is the 0.27 to 0.24 area. As you can see via the orange circles, total 3 versus Bitcoin has found major lows here in the past. The only time that was different from that was down here, where we did make a lower low, right, over here, okay? But all the other times we've held this support. Now, with that being said, you have a downtrending line of resistance. You now have a higher low structure forming on the monthly time frame, okay? So to keep it very simple, you could just draw it out just like this, okay, along with your horizontal support. As you can see, 2 months in a row of outperformance, and that is the first time we have put 2 months of outperformance together since back in December of 2023 and November of 2023. But we did not do it at a major area of support like we did here. This is very similar to how ETH versus Bitcoin and ETH dominance and even ETH USD were setting up before it made its big run against Bitcoin. Very similar setup. Here we go. Look at your monthly time frame market cipher. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, while price action made lower lows. That is a bullish divergence on the momentum waves. You also have curving money flow to the upside. Third higher low on the buy signal means bullish divergence, okay? You can see the lines connecting the momentum waves. That's extremely bullish when it happens at major support levels. Next indicator. Actually, we don't need to look at the whale money flow because there's not much there. However, it did bottom out at the 36 level. Let's look at the RSI on the monthly time frame. If you look at the RSI on the monthly time frame, you can see that since 2021, at the top in May of the altcoin market, from the bottom at December 2020, you've been forming this downtrend in sort of a flat slash maybe falling channel style bottom. Okay? It's not completely flat. It's actually made lower lows for the most part. You are just now, for the first time, peeking our heads out of this pattern on the monthly RSI. This could be signaling that the altcoin market via Total 3 is preparing for a full-blown breakout against Bitcoin going into Q4. Okay? Again, on the back of good monetary policy projections being anchored and macro data going our way based off what I told you earlier. Okay? This is very important stuff. Monthly stock RSI. Full-blown V-shaped, let's actually zoom in, full-blown V-shaped turn from the close to the zero level, which is fine. You don't need to go to the zero level. It's actually bullish if you don't. Full-blown V-shaped recovery out of this bottoming range. Hasn't even come close to breaking the 80 level yet. And you have strong momentum swinging to the upside. Very strong momentum swinging to the upside. You will not see your most bullish price action until you break the 80 level. Okay? As you can see back in March of 2021, when we broke the 80 level, is when you started to get these two monthly massive candles via April and May, which was the peak of the altcoin season. All right, we're not even close to that point yet. We still need probably 2 months of price action in order to break the 80 level, right? 2 months, I think. 2 months would get both of these moving averages above the 80 level, okay? So that would get you into October, November. Regardless, it doesn't mean you can't go up. In the meantime, it just means the most aggressive price action happens above the 80 level, okay? People think that when the stock RSI gets above 80 that it's a bad thing, that you're overheated. It's actually the opposite. It's when you get your most bullish price action. It's when the indicator is at its strongest. Also, as you can see, look at this, folks. Look, I love this one. And you know what? We'll actually just do it like this. Let's make it more defined so that you can see exactly what I'm saying. All right. First and foremost, you have your first bottom, you have your double bottom, and it was off to the races. So, let's just, because I want to really hone in on this one, because this is a big deal. Back in June of 2020, you made your first low. Then in December, you made your second low. Altcoin season began. We made our first low back in July. Then we made our second low in June. And you're getting the cross again. So one more time, as you can see, incredible. You doing the same exact bottoming pattern on your momentum indicator via the LMACD, right? As you did back in altcoin season in 2021. Okay, late 2020, 2021. All right. These double bottoms on the MACD are extremely powerful. The same way they are extremely powerful when you double top. For example, when you double top and you make a lower high, game over. When you double bottom and make a higher low, game on. When you double bottom and make basically a double bottom, a little bit of a higher low here, right? A little bit of a higher low, right? Just a little bit. Game on, okay? This signals bottoms, okay? A lot of the time, especially when in confluence with other powerful indicators, okay? And then obviously price structure. So when you pair my previous chart, the linear time frame, and you match it with the log time frame, going from the weekly to the monthly, and then you look at our oh so powerful indicators that we use, mix that with hitting major historical, 4 year, actually, forgive me, this is a 8-year historical support level, 8-year historical support level, and you match it with these indicators, looking the way that they look on both linear and log. That's why I'm making the video, folks, because I'm telling you that in the coming months, watch out for Total 3 and watch out for the altcoin market cap to start stealing dominance away from Bitcoin at a higher, faster pace than we've seen since the previous altcoin season. Okay? Now, I'll finish off by saying this because I don't want to take too much of your time. Always remember that the charts can precede the news. However, that's never guaranteed. In order for this recipe, in order for this dish that we are trying to make, right, that we all so much desire, we do need macro data to come in our favor. I have a funny feeling it's going to. Because again, the charts can precede news. And I know it sounds kind of weird. I'm a big macro guy. I'm a big fundamental guy, right? I focus on central bank policy. I focus on the fundamentals of the macro. I correlate it to the markets. That's what works. That's how you become an expert in the crypto market. It's all lining up right now, right? It's obvious. You guys know enough from watching me that you could feel that it's lining up. We just need that last push, okay? It's not guaranteed, and I don't know what the macro data is going to look like, but I know what this chart looks like, and I know what the other chart looks like, the linear time frame. And if there was ever going to be a time that it was going to happen, right? If there was ever going to be a moment, now's the time, right? Maybe not in the next week or two. September's usually weak, but going into Q4, it's the time, right? There's never been a time where these two charts have looked the way that they look in tandem on log and linear, on the weekly, on the monthly. It's the same as the ETH charts that I posted months ago, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. If you're looking to join the Patreon, the link is in the description below. If you have any questions, please comment, please like, please subscribe. Follow me on X also if you don't follow me on X at KevCapitalTA. And I hope you guys have a great evening. I hope you guys have a great September. We're heading into the fall, so very, very exciting times. We have a lot of macro data coming over the next 3 weeks, and we have an FOMC on the 17th. All right, and once again, if you guys ever want to reach out to me, you could always reach out to me via X, or obviously if you're in the Patreon, you can reach out to me there too. You guys have a good day. Peace.